Hello, hello.
Hello.
So shall we begin? Do I have your permission to record this Skype interview?
Yes, you have.
Thank you. And do I have your consent to upload this interview onto a website? The website will have a password and will be viewable by my grad studies associates and other interviewees.
Yes, that's fine.
Thank you so much. So let me explain about my project. It's the final project at Northern Arizona University, my Master's of Arts in Rhetorical Writing and Digital Media. I chose to study the documentary Cowspiracy with an interdisciplinary focus. I will study the effectiveness of the documentary as a model for behavior change toward environmental sustainability and as a media literacy tool for education. So shall I begin with the questions?
Yes.
Okay, first question, please tell me about yourself.
I'm Frenchman. I'm 30. Should I say my age or?
If you want, it's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm 36 years old and I teach martial arts in Paris, France. I've been living abroad in the US and in Korea for a total of 10 years. And I've been in France since 5 years ago. I've been in France for the last 5 years, and so I'm pretty much into sports and eating food to have the maximum amount of energy and be able to teach a lot of hours. Yeah.
Fantastic. My second question, well, when did you watch the documentary? It was yesterday?
No, it was like three days ago.
Okay, so just recently. What did you think
Yeah.
of the documentary Cowspiracy?
What did I think of it? Yeah, okay. I had heard about it, and since I thought I knew about the subject, I didn't think it was worth looking at the movie. But finally, after you suggested I should watch it, I took the time to watch it, and I really learned new things, and I was really surprised about the situation, which I didn't know that was that bad. I know it was bad, but I didn't know it was so. The time was so we had so little time to act, basically, and yeah, it was really interesting to watch it. I learned many things.
Okay. I'll probably get some more details from you. The third question was, did Cowspiracy influence your attitude or habits, behaviors? Can you talk about that? It's rather recent, but what you think?
Definitely. I've already been trying to be vegan for about a year, and it's definitely how do you say, pushing me in, motivating me in being a vegan for the from now on, basically, because I don't like eating meat personally, but when I see how it acts on the environment, I really don't want to consume meat, or whether it's industrial meat or even organic meat, or but anyway, that's also a matter of taste, but and the environment, of course, is more important. But other than that, I'd like to mention the difference with America and France.
For sure.
but maybe it's out of the question, out of this question, or I don't know. But
feel free to anything that you want to discuss. I just I plan to cover these points, but you're free to anything you'd like to talk about. Yeah.
Okay, because when I saw the movie, I was really moved, and after that, the next day, I realized that in France, it's not the same world as the US.
Yeah.
Meaning that you can't just show that movie and have people touched, because we don't rely 100% to the community of America. Unfortunately, I mean, there are differences, and so the movie to be able to touch people here should be adapted to the French public to a certain extent, I think. But it's the feeling I got after. I mean, not the feeling, but the reflection I got the day after watching it. But even without that point, I think everybody in the world should see that movie. But obviously, it's gonna probably talk mostly to Americans. I might be wrong, but
interesting. I actually had an interview with another French person earlier today, and she also mentioned that I suppose she maybe you can see the video later, because all the interviewees can see the other videos. She said there's like a very strong attitude toward meat in France with the gastronomical culture, and she did talk about particular things in French culture, and she did mention maybe it would be interesting to have people in each country make their own version of it that applies to them more, like as a closer match. If you were to make something like that, how would you change it to fit for France?
Well, probably. First of all, what I can think of right now is the tone. The tone of the movie should be more maybe about comic tone, not so serious as in the US. You know, for a long time, the US, whatever they do, whether it's a video or just acting in the world, they want to be the number one, the chief of the world, to show the example. And in some ways, they have done that for example, for the vegetarian movement. They have been in advance, I think, compared to France. And usually, America shows the trend first, and then France follows. But if we are to do something now, we should probably in France, do something with the French spirit, which could be popular, which is kind of more of a comical spirit. I know that the subject is not comical; it's frightening, it's awful, but probably we should change the angle of attack. And obviously we should go and talk to. The journalists should go and see the French meat industry players and French activists and whatever, similar to the American version.
Yeah. That's a great suggestion. A little bit similar to what my friend Amadine had talked about this morning with me too. Yeah. Well, film is a huge part of French culture as well, I also think. And the film industry in America is very different from film in France as well. So maybe, like you said, to have the message really absorbed by French people, it should be done in a way that suits their culture. Yeah, that's a great idea. This kind of ties into my last question that I was going to ask you was, how can Cowspiracy best be used as an educational tool inside or outside a classroom. So you mentioned one idea is to have a different version of it appropriate for like your own culture. Who would make such a thing? You?
Well, I'm I'm not a movie maker. I've done acting before.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I could be a journalist, but I haven't done that too much as inexperience. So yeah, obviously we would need someone, at least probably it's not so much about movie making, but it's more about finding the right person who will interview and do the whole thing.
Yeah, I think that Kip Anderson, the main actor, and he's also the director. I don't know if he had the intention of making the documentary, but he felt like he needed to share his journey with people to let them know what was happening. He's quite a serious guy. You know, he talks about his family background, and his mother was a teacher, his father was in the military, and so I don't know if that shaped him or not, but I was impressed with his ability to. He was quite assertive, but not overbearing, I thought, generally. And he was very disciplined and guided by, a search for information.
Yeah. The thing, I honestly, I don't think I could do it because I'm usually not aggressive enough in the way I could ask questions or talk to people. Mm-hmm. I can be aggressive, but it's going to be over-aggressive. And usually I'm too soft to talk to people when the subject is tense. So I don't think I could do it. I could help the person doing it, but doing it myself, I don't think I'm the right person for that. So, yeah.
As a vegan, how do you find talking to people who don't have the same view about food as you do?
It's difficult, and usually I don't even mention the subject. Mm-hmm. My hope is that by doing sports and martial arts in an impressive way, I could have people interested in the way I eat, and then I could introduce the subject. Mm-hmm. But it's gonna take time, and even though I could do that, some people they are not interested in it, so it's difficult. But yeah, it's not easy. But usually I talk about it whenever I have a chance, whenever I feel the person could be interested. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and since I've seen that movie, probably I'll try harder and more often to do that.
Yeah, I think that there is a certain state of readiness that has to be there for someone, but it's hard to know for sure.
The thing I realized, even with when I met that girl, that French doctor for animals yesterday, mm-hmm. She's a vegan also. She's trying to be vegan, but she's very health oriented and conscious, mm-hmm. and she didn't see Cowspiracy.
Oh, okay.
And I could feel she's not in a rush. She's not feeling the emergency of the situation. Mm. So I think in France, most people are not aware of that. They just try to live as they can, because, as you know, also the political situation is very, very, very difficult. Yeah, I know in the US it's also very bad, but here, anyway, French people also complain a lot. That's one of their traits.
Well, you're basically living in Paris, right? Would you consider you live in Paris or the region of there?
Yeah, that's mostly in Paris.
Yes.
So I think most people are not aware of the emergency of the situation. Although in Facebook, many videos are being shared, but most people, I think, they are not aware of it. So yeah, we would need probably a good film like Cowspiracy in French, made by some French team, and that could wake up some spirits, I think.
Yeah. I'm not sure if most of the world is really aware of it, but that's kind of what I'm looking to find out with this project. And I found some interesting information. A Chatham House study, I'll send it to you. There's a huge think tank in England that has done a 12-country survey study, and there is a huge information gap about, well, there's a lack of knowledge about the impact of animal agriculture on climate and environmental problems.
Mm.
But
you know, I'm sorry, you were talking. Go ahead.
I have to wrap up the interview soon because yes, unfortunately.
Well, one thing I'd like to add is I think most French people are very concerned about the CO2, the pollution. They do. Some even don't care. They're like, oh, I'm just gonna live my life and I don't care. But many are trying to be more eco-friendly, to use less water, to save on gas. That's what we are doing now. This is true, but the meat thing, it's really not something known, and people didn't take. They think it's just for health, but they don't realize it's the whole environment and whole world, which depends on it.
That's why.
So I think
I think the information needs to be out there. I'm hoping to do a screening of the event, and maybe periodically keep doing it. So there are opportunities for face-to-face discussions, and just to get people to watch it, and be with someone else when they're watching it so they can share their opinion. I think might be a good idea to try in Paris as well.
Yeah. Sure.
So, sorry, I have another interview scheduled after hours as well, and I'm sorry to cut it short a little bit, but as usual, I will be in touch, and we'll talk about the interview a little bit later too.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good second interview, next interview.
Yes. Thank you. I really appreciate your time and sharing your insights with me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.